Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Thursday, the 30th of January 2025. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the Australian share market hit a record high this afternoon with investors buoyed by hopes of interest rate cuts next month. Just after lunch, the S&P ASX 200 hit 8,515.1 points before closing up 0.5%, just under that 8,500 point mark. That surpassed the highs of early December last year. Energy and interest rate sensitive stocks did best today, though so too did consumer staples and financials. In fact, all 11 of the ASX sub-indices were higher today. What's going on? Well, there's a general boost in sentiment from the prospect of a rate cut in the middle of next month, following the benign inflation figures out yesterday. All 4 major banks, Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank, Westpac and ANZ, are now predicting a rate cut when the Reserve Bank Board meets on 16th and 17th of February. There's also a general boost from Donald Trump at the moment. Everyone seems to be focusing on the good stuff that could happen in the US, things like lower corporate tax rate, not so much the bad stuff. Story number 2, ahead of earnings season, which kicks off in a couple of weeks, there's plenty of companies' announcements at the moment. Some of the highlights: Zipco's share price tumbled as much as 25% after the buy now, pay later company's second quarter results disappointed. Perpetual, the fund manager, reported a rise in total assets under management to $230 billion, though that was thanks to positive currency movements. There was actually a $3.8 billion net outflow. Debt collector Credit Corp announced a disappointing collections figure. Its share price tumbled 12%. And lithium group IGO posted a $79 million loss for the December quarter. Its share price fell more than 2%. Story number 3, big news out of the US is that the Federal Reserve has kept interest rates on hold. It held its January meeting overnight. Chair Jerome Powell said he'd like to see further progress on inflation before considering an interest rate cut. He said rates might not move for the foreseeable future. He is worried somewhat about the re-emergence of inflation. President Donald Trump wasn't impressed. He posted, and I quote, "If the Fed had spent less time on gender ideology, green energy, and fake climate change, inflation would never have been a problem." Also, there was a bunch of tech companies reporting earnings overnight. Tesla said it was on track to roll out new, cheaper electric vehicle models in the first half of this year, as its quarterly profit and revenue fell short of expectations for the December quarter. That was due to discounts and financing offers. Meta's Mark Zuckerberg was very upbeat about the group's artificial intelligence strategy after unveiling a somewhat disappointing sales forecast. And Microsoft said its cloud computing business will continue to grow slowly in the current quarter as the company struggles to build enough data centers to handle demand for its AI products. Story number 4, the federal government is promising to give Victoria $2.5 billion in additional education funding over the next decade. Education Minister Jason Clare calls it a big day for public schools in the state. He says it will turn around the decline in teenagers not finishing school in Victoria. Meanwhile, Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones will retire from Parliament at the next federal election, setting the stage for a reshuffle of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's economic team. That's assuming the ALP wins, of course. Stephen Jones has been in Canberra for 15 years. Good luck to him. And story number 5, Mineral Resources debt has grown to $5 billion as it builds its export hub in Western Australia and battles weak commodity prices and governance concerns. It's spending $2.6 billion to build an export hub. It exports iron ore and lithium, or it will export iron ore and lithium from that hub. Founder and Managing Director Chris Ellison has, in the last few days, it seems, been issued a Section 19 notice by the corporate regulator, ASIC. That means he is under formal investigation. That's over alleged offshore tax evasion schemes that he benefited from that came to light last year. Mr. Ellison is 11% owner of Mineral Resources. He will step down as managing director within the next 18 months or so. That broke last year. MinRes' share price has gone from more than $4 in May to $2.36. Ouch. Debt's higher at the company, even after it sold a 49% stake in its 147-kilometre private railroad in the Pilbara. It got $1.1 billion for that, yet its debt is still over $5 billion now. That's it for the afternoon report for Thursday, the 30th of January, 2025. Make sure you hit follow on the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.